الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصينا ماءه العادون ولا يعد حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نات موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته. اللهم أبث صلة سلواتك وسلامة تسليماتك على أول التعينات المفاضة من الأماء رباني وآخر التنزلات المضافة إلى نوع الإنسان. كان الله ولم يكن معه شيء ثاني محصي لعوالم حضرات الخمس في وجوده وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. الرسول النبي المكي الخرشي التحامي صاحب لواء الحمد ومقام المحمود أبي القاسم محمد الحميد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أخيه وابن عمه وخليفته من بعده وقائد الغر المحجلين ياسر الدين إمام المتقين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى ابنته الطاهرة الحوراء العنسية الراضية المرضية الشفية يوم الجزاء فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها.
صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى سبتي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين. اللهم صل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد وحسن بن علي وحجة القائم المنتظر المهدي. اللهم صل على محمد حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك. اللهم سهل منحجهم وعجل في فرجهم وجعلنا من محبيهم ومواليهم وشيتهم. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent and most merciful. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Allah granting us the tawfiq, the inspiration to mourn the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and to use these nights as a vehicle to launch ourselves onto a higher level of iman, onto a higher level of our faith and yaqeen, certitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Hussein stood for taking humanity towards Allah. Imam Hussein stood for those values that were being deviated and distorted and ridiculed by munafiqeen, the enemies of Islam, who were not able to hurt Islam or affect Islam in a negative way from outside So they became Muslims and came into the fold of Islam, and then they worked against Islam. Although the root or the seed of nifaq was sowed by Yazid's grandfather Abu Sufyan, Yazid was able to reap that nifaq that was sowed by Abu Sufyan. And history is a witness to what had transpired and what Ahlul Bayt and the family of the Holy Prophet had to go through because of their love for Islam, because of their commitment for Islam, because of their unshaken belief and unshaken stand towards standing up for the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the religion that the Prophet of Allah had brought. And here the verses of Holy Quran that I had the honor of reciting, I have recited this before also. They say a day when a wrongdoer will bite his hands, saying, I wish I had followed the apostles' way. So that day, there would not be any respite. There would not be any other opportunity. The opportunity is in the life of this world. Once this world passes away and we enter into the realm of Barzakh, then things would be different. You will be progressing in a direction, but that direction is established here. You might not reach the destination in the life of this world, but that's not necessary. As long as you are heading in the right direction, Allah takes that upon Himself to ensure that you reach and you attain perfection before the Day of Judgment. And that is why Allah has kept this intermediary realm which is between the life of this world and the Day of Judgment. And then the following verse says that the person is going to curse himself, saying, woe to me, I wish I had not taken so and so as a friend. I wish I had not taken so and so. The verse itself says so and so. Fulanan, Khalila. So we have so many so and so's in our lives who are living and who are in our circle of influence. And we are in their circle of influence. And we have some other so and so friends also back in history with whom we are stuck and we are not able to get out. We are not able to see the light during the day and be blind, although we confess and we agree that they were not right, but we do not dare say anything. And we shy away and we run away by saying, oh, that's between them and Allah. Why should we judge what has happened before? Why do you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim? Why do you judge shaitan? Did somebody, that was between Allah and shaitan. There was not a single human being to witness it. And even when Adam was created, things had happened before that. So Islam is not a passive religion, my dear brothers and sisters. Islam takes stand. Because Islam teaches absolute values, not relative values. I have said this before also. Islam does not teach that if you are my friend, I am going to deal you in a certain way. And if you are not my friend, the same values I was just claiming the other day about being so moral and so good, suddenly all of them are going to turn around against you. I will use them against you. Islam does not believe in relative morality. Islam believes in absolute morality. And for that, you ought to take a stand. And Islam says if you cannot say something, then you have to at least despise what you think is wrong in your heart. But you cannot be neutral. There is no case of neutrality. And those people are going to regret. And then another verse of Holy Quran which says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu Now this verse is addressing mu'mineen. It's not saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people. No. Those who are mu'mineen, to them this is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu khu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. O you who have faith, save yourselves and your families from the fire. وَخُوضُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Whose fuel is human beings and stones. And Allah is addressing whom? Mu'min. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu khu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. So if we are mu'min, it would not suffice that we hold on to our faith. Allah is saying, save yourselves and then your families. It is our responsibility to extend that spirit of religion, that spirit of commitment to Islam towards our families. It's our duty that we do that. And to make sure that that can come about, you have to see the circumstances in which you are leading your life and ensure that your children can connect with the ground reality. The reason you and I have faith is because we were able to relate to what was going on and what are the values that Islam is teaching. We have seen such a huge, disparity in mankind, especially those who have lived in third world countries, where there is so much poverty on one side and there are so many rich people on the other side, and then so many haves and have-nots, that we sort of learned that. But here, the way we do not get sick that often as people back in third world countries get, just like that, they are all completely immunized in such a way that they do not know hardship, they do not know pain, they do not know poverty, they do not know what it means not to have very basic minimum resources that we have in our lives. I mean, there are country like India, which is always in the news. One of my classmates back in the Hausa was from a village in India, and he used to say that all year round, the electricity comes for about 2 hours a day. Just 2 hours. And the whole village is engaged in this cloth manufacturing. So people would tie their lives around when the electricity would come. If the electricity comes in the middle of the night, they wake up in the middle of the night and work, because the moment electricity is gone, they cannot work. And if they don't, then they won't have money to pay the bills. And here we don't even care. So Allah had given us security. Allah had given us resources. Allah had given us amazing abundance of resources. And let us not make this itself an excuse to deviate from the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, the path of Haqq. Please recite a salawat. I need to move very, very quickly. I'm trying to wind up the discussion that I had, although I won't be able to do justice to what I wanted to say. But we were talking about discovering the abode of hereafter and how it matters and how actively we need to be engaged. And we have talked about mustazafin last night, how mustazafin, those who do not possess the ability or the message, had not reached them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to forgive them. But also, mustazafin can never attain the state of abrar, those who have reached the higher stations. Because the higher stations are given to those who are actually, who have worked for it. So you are not in the fire of hell, but that doesn't mean you are on the highest level. Jannat is not a socialist Jannat, that everybody is going to be equal in that Jannat. No, it has levels. Just like our barzakh is not a same barzakh. I wanted to also mention that how the relationship that exists between a person who has passed away, his life and this life and also barzakh. And wanted to cite some real examples that are there in history that shows people whose stations was elevated and who were on a higher planes of Iman. Allah had honored them and changed some of the basic fundamental dynamics of the nature just for their sake, for honoring them. And I wanted to give you an example of how Sheikh Sadukh is one of our greatest scholars, whose book Man La Yahzarul Faqih is one of the books which are considered to be the core of the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. And Sheikh Sadukh was born out of the dua that his father had made, the tawassul that his father had made to Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And he had another brother also, and they both were born out of the dua. And the Sheikh Sadukh had seen a very small portion of Ghaibat-e Sughra also of the Imam. And here Sheikh Sadukh is buried in Shah Abdul Azim. Shah Abdul Azim, for those of you who do not know, is in Iran, in Islamic Republic of Iran, near Tehran. Shahr-e-Ray, the city of Ray, is the city where this Imam Zadeh is buried, and Sheikh Sadukh's grave is also there. And what had happened during the time of Fateh Ali Shah Qajar, one of the kings in the past, that there was intense rain, and as a result of that, the grave of Sheikh Sadukh was opened up. So obviously he was so revered and it was so respected. So the news reached ulama and also the king, and it was ordered to ensure that water has also seeped inside the grave, and the grave has been in a bad shape. So it was just to clear it off, they started working on it. And what did they find? The grave was not directly there. In fact, there was a sardab. Sardab in the past used to be, the graves used to be further down, inside, underneath the ground, but it used to be a place where they would lay the body, and then there would be a way to come out and then close it off. So they just go inside to get to the grave of Sheikh Sadukh. What do they find there? They find a person lying down who has a kafan, who has a shroud, which has become, very earthy because of the dust and the sand. In fact, it was almost not there. And the portions that we would definitely cover, Allah had made a special arrangement that they were ankabut, they were spiders' webs all over the place to cover him, although his body was all intact. And when they got closer, in fact, they did not go closer, ulama were informed, Fateh Ali Shah became very, very interested to go down, so the ulama did not give him permission, they themselves went, and when they got near the body of Sheikh Sadukh, they saw that his hair, the dye that he used to do for his hair, even the color of the dye in his hair, in his nails was also there. It was, Sheikh Sadukh was lying, and this is when his grave was opened after 857 years.
What?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My dear brothers and sisters, these are all signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us. We know in nature it is not possible. Nature takes its own toll. But those who have attained a certain level of taqwa, the nature would not dare get to them. The same insects would not dare get to their body out of their respect. And this is only Sheikh Saduq we are talking about. We are not talking about our Aimma, we are not talking about our Imams. We already know another story of Hur, which is quite popular, I'm sure you are aware, how Hur's grave was also opened and how his body was intact. This is all telling us that there is alam-e-misal, there is barzakh, and there is connectivity. When we go to these shrines, we know that the person who has passed away, his soul has been taken away, but the body that has been laid there has that connection, has that contact. And that's why we go and visit those shrines and use tawassul and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, these were your great servants and your slaves, and we want to walk on the path of your great servants and your slaves, but we ask your help, O Allah, through them. Please say salwa. Another narration from the Prophet of Allah, which says that the Prophet of Allah says, دَخَلْتُ الْجَنَّةِ فَرَأَيْتُ أَكْثَرَ أَهْلِهَا الْبُلْحُ. The Prophet of Allah says that I entered paradise and I saw a majority of people to be al-bulh. And what is that bull? A person asks, قُلْتُ مَا الْبُلْحُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ فَقَالَ الْآخِلُ فِي الْخَيْرِ الْغَافِلُ عَنِ الشَّرِّ. The Prophet of Allah says, when I entered paradise, I have seen that most of the people who were the inhabitants of paradise, they were the ones who were akhil. Akhil in what? Who were intelligent. In what? Fil khair. In goodness, in good deeds, they were smart. And al-ghafilu anishar. And they were the ones who were ghafil, who were heedless. From what? From shar, from corruption, from wrongdoings. So people who are going to be in the inhabitants of paradise are the ones who are akhil. And here akhil, intellect, intelligence, does not mean deception, does not mean deceiving other people. Akhil should be a source for us to take us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our akhil, our intelligence, should not make us kafir deniers of Allah, of this great creator that the mankind has, the whole universe has. And what do we find in our communities? The more in our society, somebody who is considered very, very intelligent, he's considered an intelligent person, and we find he's an atheist. It has become a fashion, it has become a style, you know. And you find all the scientists, at least in the past they were, now the scientists are slowly coming back into the fold of religion, regardless of Islam. So science should not become an obstacle for you to understand God. Science is not a means of knowing everything under your microscope. If you think everything is going to come under your microscope, of course there are so many things that are not under our microscope. Nobody has seen an atom and yet they believed in atom. Nobody has seen an electron but yet they believed in electron. They were thinking that that was the last thing, and although I'm not in touch these days that actively, but there are other particles or other things which are far more smaller and they are active. So this all shows that you cannot feel it, you cannot comprehend it, and yet they exist. And if science is taking you away from religion, that means shaitan is working on your case. Please say the salawat. And then, as I said, those who were on the path, and if they have not achieved the outcome, Allah is definitely going to help them in the state of barzakh. Yesterday, as we gave an example yesterday from Sayyid Jawad Karbalai, how he narrated the incident that he had went through. Today I have a riwayah from the Holy Prophet which says that when the Prophet of Allah was ascended to Mi'raj and he was passing by from a place in paradise, and then what does he see? Marra ala shaykhin kha'idin tahta shajaratin wa hawlahu atfal. He saw that he was passing from a place under, there was an old person sitting under a tree and there were children all around him. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم من هذا شيخ يا جبرائيل, who is this sheikh, who is this old man, O Jibreel? قال هذا أبوك إبراهيم عليه السلام. This is your grandfather, Hazrat Ibrahim. Then the Prophet says, قال وما هؤلاء الأطفال حوله. What are those children doing around him? That Hazrat Ibrahim, around Hazrat Ibrahim. The Prophet Jibreel says, هؤلاء الأطفال أطفال المؤمنين حوله يغزوهم. These are the children of mu'mineen and they are being fed and taught by Hazrat Ibrahim. They are being nourished and nurtured by Hazrat Ibrahim. Those children of mu'mineen who passes away, their caretaker in paradise is Hazrat Ibrahim. Now this is one thing, and there's another aspect that I'm definitely going to share with you, and I'm sure your faces would be bright, because Islam is all about inzar and also basharat. The Prophet of Allah was Bashir and Nazir. We need to know what the good tidings are, what the good news is, and we need to know what are the consequences also at the same time. We need to maintain that balance. We cannot be on both extremes. Please recite a salawat. So there is heaven in which the children of mu'mineen are being nurtured so that they could attain the state of kamal, the state of perfection. And now another narration I would like to share with you, in which says that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are the example here is given is of earrings. For a girl whose beauty needs to be enhanced, one of the things that a girl would possess are the earrings. And that's the analogy that has been given, which says that the Prophet of Allah said, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are the earrings of heaven. And earrings of heaven. So the Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are the earrings of heaven. And then the riwayah continues and it says that the paradise would say that Ya Rabbi, askantani az-zu'afa wal-masakin. Oh Allah, you have made me, heaven is saying this, a place where zu'afa, people who are weak and people who are poor, have become my inhabitants. Means there are people who are not to deserve to be there and they are there, and heaven is going to complain to Allah in a way. So now what does Allah say to the heaven? What is the response? Please say the salawat. فَقَالَ اللَّهُ لَهَا. Allah is going to say to heaven, أَلَا تَرْضِيَنَّ إِنِّي زَيَّنْتُ أَرْكَانَكِ بِالْحَسَنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ عَلَيْهِمَ السَّلَامِ. Aren't you satisfied that I have beautified you with Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein? Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are the pride of heaven. Aren't you satisfied with this? The riwayah, when the heaven hears this, the riwayah says that قَالَ فَمَاسَتْ كَمَا تَمِيثُ الْعُرُوثُ فَرْحًا. And then hearing this, Jannah would say, the paradise would glitter like a diamond, like a joyous bride would glitter and be proud. So the pride of heaven is Ahlul Bayt, my dear brothers and sisters. The pride of Ahlul Bayt is Ahlul Bayt. The pride of heaven is Ahlul Bayt. Now I'm getting step by step. I'm trying to cover my topic before the time, we run out of time because of the program that we have tonight. Here, the Imam, riwayah from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Inna lil jannati samaniyata abwabin. For Jannah, for paradise, there are 8 doors. Babun yadkhulu minhu an-nabiyyun was-siddiqun. There is a door from which the prophets and siddiqun, the most righteous, are going to enter. Wa babun yadkhulu minhu ash-shuhada was-salihun. There would be another door through which the martyrs would enter into paradise, and those servants of Allah who were salih, who were righteous. There are levels of iman. So there is one level on which siddiqun are, and there is another level in which salihun are. Then the riwayah says, وَخَمْسَةُ أَبْوَابٍ يَدْخُلُ مِنْهَا شِيعَتُنَا وَمُحِبُّونَا صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
And there are 5 doors from which our Shias are going to enter paradise, and our Muhib are going to enter paradise. So for everyone there is 1 door each, and there are 5 doors to heaven that the Shias are going to enter. إلى أن قال عليه السلام وباب يدخل منه سائر المسلمين ممن شهد أن لا إله إلا الله. And there is only 1 door through which everybody else amongst the Muslimin are going to enter, who have professed the kalamat of Tawheed by saying La ilaha illallah, and وَلَمْ يَكُنْ فِي قَلْبِهِ مِقْدَارُ ذَرَّةٍ مِنْ بُغْضِنَا. These are the people who have professed Tawheed by saying La ilaha illallah, and they do not possess even a fraction of hatred for us Ahlul Bayt in their hearts. Meaning that whoever has even a fraction of hatred for Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Holy Prophet, will never enter paradise. Another narration quickly I would like to share with you. Please, Salwa. For those people who die, this is a narration narrated by Zamakhshari and Fakhr Razi. Fakhr Razi is a scholar of Ahl Sunnah. So this narration is there also. It says, Anin Nabi, أنه قال من مات على حب آل محمد مات شهيدا. Those who die with the love of Ahlul Bayt in their hearts, they would die, they would attain the station of martyrs. ألا ومن مات على حب آل محمد مات مغفورا له. Those who die with the love of Ahlul Bayt in their hearts, they would be forgiven before they would die. ألا ومن مات على حب آل محمد مات تائبا. He is the person who is going to be purified and forgiven. The person who dies in the love of Ahlul Bayt. ومن مات على حب آل محمد مات مؤمنا مستكمل الإيمان. A person who dies with having a love for Ahlul Bayt, he would die as a mu'min, as a faithful whose iman has been perfected. ألا ومن مات على حب آل محمد بشره ملك الموت بالجنة. A person who dies with the love of Ahlul Bayt in their heart, Malakul Maut is going to give him the good tidings of Jannah. Please say salawat. And then the riwayah says, Summa munkirun wa nakiran. So Munkir and Nakir they are the angels who are going to come. They are also going to give him the bashara, the good news of Jannah. Ala wa man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin yuzaffu ila al-jannati kama tuzaffu al-arusu ila bayti zawjiha. The person who dies with having the love for Ahl al-Bayt, he would be treated as a bride is treated when she is taken into the house of her groom. Ala wa man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin futiha lahu fi khabrihi baban ila al-jannah. The one who would die with the love of Ahl al-Bayt in his heart, Allah is going to open in his grave doors towards Jannah. Ala wa man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin ja'ala Allahu qabrahu mazara malaika. Allah is going to make this person's grave a place of visitation for angels. Malaika rahma, the angels who come with mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ala wa man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin mata ala sunnati wal jama'a. The person who dies with the love of Ahl al-Bayt is the person who is going to die on sunnah of Rasulullah. Ala wa man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin. Ala. Now it's talking about those who have bughz of Ahl al-Bayt. Those who have bughz of Ahl al-Bayt cannot call themselves Sunni. They are not Sunnis. They are Nasibis. Please say salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Ala wa man mata ala bughz ali Muhammadin jaa yawm al-qiyamah maktubun bayna aynayhi ayatun min rahmatillah. The person who is going to die with hatred for Ahl al-Bayt would come on the day of judgment, and on his face, between his eyes, it would be written that this is a person who is in despair because he is not going to get any mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ala wa man mata ala bughz ali Muhammadin mata kafira. The person who dies with hatred for Ahl al-Bayt in their hearts would die as a kafir, as a denier of truth that had come to him. Ala wa man mata ala bughz ali Muhammadin lam yashumma ra'ihat al-jannah. The person who dies having the bughz of Ahl al-Bayt in his heart, he would not be even able to smell the smell of Jannah. So the criteria, my dear brothers and sisters, is wilaya of Ahl al-Bayt. The bottom line is our a'mal have value if they are based upon the instructions that Allah had given us and they lead us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, our a'mal would lead us towards deviation. We see shaitan, we know, Quran has said time and time again, shaitan is our greatest enemy. But what we know of shaitan, did shaitan not knew about Islam or not knew about Tawheed? Did he doubt in the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Wasn't he knowledgeable? Didn't he have knowledge? He had knowledge, he had ma'arifah. But he was deviated because he depended upon his own self. If we start depending upon our own self without holding the da'man, as we say, without getting to the door of guidance which Allah's Prophet has said to us time and time again, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. If you want to come towards me, you have to come through the wilaya of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Please say salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, another riwayah in which the Prophet of Allah says, Ya Ali, he's saying it to the Amir al-Mu'mineen himself, Inna laka kanzan fil jannah wa anta dhu qarnayha. O Ali, for you there is a treasure in Jannah and you are Dhul Qarnayn. So I just looked up, what does it mean, this riwayah, how does it, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, and how the Prophet is relating it over here. And I looked up the verses of Holy Quran, and it says in Surah Kahf, verse 94, which says that they said, O Zulqarnain, surely Yajuj and Majuj make mischief in the land. Shall we then pay you a tribute on a condition that you should raise a barrier between us and them? The people are making this offer to Zulqarnain that Yajuj and Majuj, people who are, these Yajuj and Majuj have been mentioned in Quran, you can look it up. I'm trying to go very quickly. They are making mischief in the land. And we want to pay you a tribute on a condition that you raise a barrier between us and Yajuj and Majuj. You create a barrier between us and the corruption that is going on outside. So here, Amirul Mu'mineen is a barrier who ensures righteousness and falsehood is separated. That's why we find that the Prophet of Allah had said time and time again, Khasimul Jannati wa Nar. Oh Ali, you are the one who is going to divide between Jannah and hell. And how is it going to happen? It is going to happen when a person loves Amirul Mu'mineen. That would define that this person is not dependent and he's not in the army of Shaitan. He's not from the Junood of Shaitan. He is from the Junood of Rahman. And for that, the criteria is love of Amirul Mu'mineen. Ya Ali, hubbuka imanun wa bughzuka nifaqun wa kufrun. Oh Ali, this is the Prophet of Allah had said. And these riwayat, these ahadith are not just in our books. These ahadith are present in the books of the Brothers of Ahl Sunnah. If you want to refer one book from the Brothers of Ahl Sunnah, it is Khasa'is Amirul Mu'mineen, which was written by Nisa'i. Nisa'i is one of the narrators of hadith whose book is included in Sihah Sitta of our Brothers of Ahl Sunnah. So we find that love for Ahlul Bayt is a turning point of our iman. And if we do not have love for Ahlul Bayt, it is only nifaq and kufr, and it's not going to help us. Please recite a salawat. Now, another narration which talks about barzakh from our sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. قلت لأبي عبد الله عليه السلام إني سمعتك وأنت تقول كل شيعتنا في الجنة على ما كان فيهم. A companion of the sixth Imam comes and say, O grandson of the Holy Prophet, I have heard you that you said that all of our Shias are going to go to heaven. Our Shia, all our Shias are going to go to heaven. So the Imam says, Saddaqtuka kulluhum wallahi fil jannah. Yes, you are right. That's what I have said. All of them are going to go to Jannah. Then I said to the Imam, Ju'iltu fidaka inna dhunuba kathiratun kibar. O grandson of the Holy Prophet, what about, may my life be sacrificed upon you? These Shias that you're talking about, they are zunub, they have committed mistakes. They have gone through and they were deflected and they were deviated for some reason and they were attracted towards sin, and they have done sin. They have sinned. For which the Imam says, فقال أما في القيامة فكلكم في الجنة بشفاعة النبي المطاع أو وصي النبي ولكني والله أتخوف عليكم في البرزخ. The Imam reiterates, yes, on the day of judgment, all of our Shias are going to go to Jannah with the shafa'ah, with the intercession of the Prophet of Allah and his wasi, meaning Ahlul Bayt. Walakinni wallahi, but I swear by Allah, I fear for them in the state of barzakh, in the phase of barzakh. Qultu wa mal barzakh. I said, what is barzakh, O grandson of the Holy Prophet? Qala al-qabru munzu hina mawtihi ila yawm al-qiyamah. The phase that is between when he dies from his grave till the day of judgment. So my dear brothers and sisters, the Imams have assured, the Prophet of Allah had assured his ummah that those who do not possess bughz for the Holy Prophet and his progeny are going to go to paradise, but we have to deal with barzakh. Please say salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Now I just wanted to conclude my whole speech when I gave this whole preface of Amirul Mu'mineen. Why is this hatred for Ahlul Bayt? Why is it that after all these sacrifices that the Prophet of Allah had made, why are his Ahlul Bayt sidelined? You will find not because their personality did not attract people. Their akhlaq always attracted people. What was despised was their sense of justice. What people did not like was they were just, they were honest. And that was the thing. And that is the reason you would find that there is a narration here which says that Imam Ali, when he was a Khalifa, he swore, Wallahi, I am not going to let you take a penny from Baytul Mal except it is accounted for. I am not going to do any favoritism. And what had happened up to Amirul Mu'mineen was favoritism. And it had become a source of hatred for Ahlul Bayt. I'm going very quickly in distribution of Baytul Mal, when the Imam would give to people, when he would distribute the share from the from Baytul Mal, an Arab comes and stands up, and the Imam, a black slave comes first. The Imam gives him 3 dirham. And then another person, and a Medinite Arab with a higher, tribe and fair color and whatnot, an elite from Arab comes in, and the Imam takes out and gives him 3 dinar, the same that he had given to a black slave, and who had accepted Islam just moments ago. So this elite person gets very, very offended. He says, "Oh, Amirul Mu'mineen, this person that you have given, just now you have given 3 dinars, he was my slave. I just freed him, and you are giving him the 3 dinar, and you are also giving me 3 dinar?" Then the Imam says that I have not seen in the book of Allah nor the seerah of Rasulullah that there was a special case treatment for people like you. If there would have been, I would have definitely given. But the only criteria in front of Allah is taqwa. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. If Allah is going to only give us a higher status based on our sense of awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the means of taqwa. If we do not possess taqwa, nothing else is going to matter. Please say salawat. And then you look at Amirul Mu'mineen and his sense of commitment to Islam. Now, in Islamophobia, Islam is being treated as if Islam is a religion which goes and offending and conquering people or nations. And Islam, the true followers of Rasulullah had never done anything like that. Just to give you an example, I will give you an example from Battle of Jamal. The Battle of Jamal, in which Amir al-Mu'mineen had to take on this battle, which was forced upon him, which caused the death of 30,000 Muslims. And today, if you talk to our Muslim brothers, they say, no, we should not talk about that. We should not discuss anything about that. The Battle of Jamal. We don't know everybody was on right path. It cannot happen, my dear brothers and sisters. How, see, Amir al-Mu'mineen had done the hujjah. Amir al-Mu'mineen calls, before the battle, Amir al-Mu'mineen calls from his fighters, from his helpers, and he says, is there anyone amongst you who can take Quran and go to the other side and show them that we are Muslims and invite them to be judged on Quran and not be swayed into fighting this battle? But let me assure you, whoever is going to do this, he is going to be mercilessly killed. A young man stands up, whose name is Muslim. He stands up. Amir al-Mu'mineen tries to avoid sending that man. He calls thrice. And then finally Amir al-Mu'mineen says, you go. And this young man goes knowing that the Khalifatullah, Khalifatun Nabi, has said that if I cross that line, I am going to be killed. He goes, he invites them, raising Quran in his right hand, and his hand is cut off. He takes the Quran on his left hand, he raises his hand, his left hand is cut off. Then he holds Quran in his chest and tries to move further down, and he is mercilessly killed. At this point, Imam says, now the battle with them is lawful. This is how Amir al-Mu'mineen fought. Amir al-Mu'mineen had done the hujjah up to the last minute. It was about principles. It was not about territories. I want to give you quickly one more example. Ashas ibn Khais. Ashas ibn Khais was another la'een and mal'oon who was an arch enemy of Ahl al-Bayt. The first Khalifa has said in his last moments, apparently, the riwayah says that he regretted not doing three things, and one of the three things was that he did not kill Ashas ibn Khais. While Ashas ibn Khais was the husband of Farwa, who was the sister of the first Khalifa. Ashas ibn Khais was a nuisance. And after, when Amir al-Mu'mineen was on the side of Amir al-Mu'mineen during the battle of Siffin. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he fought the Amir Sham in the battle of Siffin, he was along his side. He was one of those commanders who went along with Malik-e-Ashtar to take over Furat, to take over the control over the water. But he's the same person who comes back with the support of 25,000 fighters on his side, saying when the Amir Sham raises Quran on the spear, saying we are Muslims and we want to have a treaty, this is the same Ashas ibn Khais who comes towards Amir al-Mu'mineen and says, if you do not recall Malik-e-Ashtar immediately, I am going to spill blood here, and surely your blood. This is the same Ashas ibn Khais who was just in the army of Amir al-Mu'mineen. See the transformation. And then this is the Ashas ibn Khais who goes towards the side of Amir Sham. He walks towards the side of Bani Umayyah. His daughter is the one who had given poison to Imam Hassan. His son, Muhammad ibn Ashas, is the one who got Muslim ibn Aqil killed in Kufa. And then his another son, Khais ibn Ashas, is the one who came with 4,000 fighters to Karbala. And they are all supporters of Bani Umayyah. So if somebody comes and tells you that Bani Umayyah had nothing to do with it, Bani Umayyah had very, very deep connections, because Bani Umayyah was the leading army of Shaitan. and they cannot hide from the zulm that they have done. My dear brothers and sisters, there was more to talk about, but I don't think I can cover this. I just want to narrate to you one last hadith in which it talks about how also our children, and there's another riwayah which says our children are going to be led and be cared by Hazrat Zahra herself. Those of our children who passes away in Jannah, their Rabbul Bayt is Hazrat Zahra herself. But I just wanted to share with you another incident where, in which I said, the Prophet of Allah said that Inna laka kanzan fil Jannah. There is a treasure for you, O Ali, in paradise. And what is that treasure? We are going to definitely come to that point. But I have to go very, very quickly. I will try to take very less time, inshallah, to cover this. But my dear brothers and sisters, today is Shab-e Ashur. We also have to give pursa to Hazrat Zahra Salamullahi. You know that this is the night in which Sayyid al-Shuhada along with his companions was in Karbala. This is the last night in which Sayyid al-Shuhada is with his companions. We find that the enemies, Umar ibn Sa'd had already given a command to attack Ahlul Bayt, and Imam asks Hazrat Abbas, "O Abbas, please go and see if you could extend this and get this extended till tomorrow morning." And then the Imam gives the reason why he wants. He says, "I love to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I love salat, I love dua. O Abbas, I want to make for one last time the ibadah of my Allah, of my Creator, before returning to my Creator. O Abbas, go and talk to them." Abbas goes and talks to them, and the battle is extended up to tomorrow, the next day morning, which is Ashura. And now Imam Hussein at the same time calls all his companions, and he says, "My dear companions, now it has become 100% sure that a battle is definitely going to happen, and when the battle is going to happen tomorrow, nobody is going to survive. And I know that they are only bloodthirsty, they are thirsty of my blood and nobody else. I would like you all to go. I would like you all to leave." He's saying to this companion, and what do the companions say? The companion starts crying. And they say, "Oh Imam, how can we do this?" The Imam, just to get them motivated, he says, "If you think you will not be able to go, if you feel you are shy from going on your own, take one of my Ahlul Bayt. Take some of my Ahlul Bayt and go along with them. Take the shelter of the night and leave. You do not have to be tonight. They are the ones looking only and only for me." And then the companions of the Imam, they start slapping their faces, saying, "Oh Imam, even if we are killed," Sa'id ibn Abdullah rises up and says, "Oh Imam, even if we are killed 70 times, our bodies are desecrated, our bodies are burned, our bodies are sprinkled, and then we are raised again, then also we are not going to leave your support, oh Imam." And from other corner, Zuhair stands up, and Zuhair says, "Oh Imam, even if we are killed 1,000 times, we are not going to be disloyal to you, O Imam. We want to do our utmost that we can do, so that we can look into the eyes of our holy Prophet when we will see him on the day of judgment. O Prophet of Allah, we have done our level best to save your grandson Hussein." And from the other corner, Ahlul Bayt start rising up. When Hazrat Abbas rises up and he says, "Oh my dear brother, what do I do? How do we live? After you are gone, is there any purpose for us to live?" Ahlul Bayt are all crying. The companions of the Imam are crying. And then the riwayah says that they were engaged in worship all night. They worshipped all night. And the riwayah says the sounds of the recitation of Quran was coming as a humming of honeybees. how honeybees hum around their honeycomb. The sounds of Quran from the camps of Ahl al-Bayt was coming, from Ashab of Ahl al-Bayt was coming like this. But Imam Hussein has a responsibility. He has to prepare himself for tomorrow. What Imam does, he gets out of his tent, he goes into the bag, and he makes sure that a trench is dug behind so that the enemy would not attack from behind. And there is wood that was thrown in, twigs, so that that would be put on fire tomorrow morning when there is a fight, that the enemies would not attack from behind, especially to women and children. But as the Imam goes alone, a companion starts following him. And when Imam realizes there is a companion who is coming behind him, Imam turns around and he finds his dear companion and he says, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh Imam, may my life be sacrificed. How can I leave you alone? We are surrounded by 30,000, an army of 30,000. I cannot let you be alone, oh Imam. That's why I came to cover and I came to see you." But what was that, Imam? I was curious. What was that? Far away in Makhtal, in a Nashib, in a place, I saw that there was a cry coming from that place, and it seemed as if there was a mother whose very young son has died and she is crying for him. And when the Imam hears this, the Imam starts crying and he says, "Oh my dear companion, you do not know who she is. She is my mother Fatima. She is my mother Zahra. She has arrived in Karbala, the place that she is cleaning up. In Makhtar is the place where I am going to be martyred." My dear brothers and sisters, Shab-e Ashur was a very difficult night on Ahl al-Bayt. They were praying on one side and the mothers were preparing their sons. "Oh my dear son, make sure that tomorrow you should be the first one to sacrifice for the sake of Sayyidul Shuhada. Do not make me disappointed. Do not embarrass me in front of Zahra. Do not make me embarrassed in front of Rasulullah. You should be the one who should sacrifice yourself." And this was all happening all night, my dear brothers and sisters. I want to also remind you, tonight we want to commemorate also the martyrdom of a 6-month-old baby, Ali Asghar of Sayyidul Shuhada. But before that, I have said in the beginning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet of Allah had said that, oh Ali, in Jannah, you have a treasure in Jannah. That treasure, ulama say, Urafa say, what is meant by that treasure? That treasure is said that, oh Ali, the treasure in Jannah is your son who would be martyred even before he is born. And that is Mohsen, who was martyred in the womb of his mother when